Hey everybody, greetings from the dank basement. I'm Paul, your wicked Uncle Squinty, and the reason that I've got the headphones on is I'm going to be following my notes that I wrote about this topic. What are the benefits of nasal snuff and why should you care? The other night I was in bed and instead of counting sheep, I kind of enumerated the various benefits of taking nasal snuff for myself, and I made myself a little list and checked it twice. And now that's what we're going to talk. Ah! Hold on. There we go. I am so lost today. I need the mental clarity I can get from nasal snuff, I guess. In fact, let's take a pinch before we start here. Okay, what are the benefits of nasal snuff taking? Points, benefits, number 1 and 2 are related. In my 10 years or so, 11 years of continuous snuff taking, where I've done it every day and so on, I've noticed that I've had fewer head colds and fewer sinus infections, fewer ills such as that. Have I gotten chest colds? Yes. Have I gotten ill because I touched a shopping cart and then wiped my eye with my finger after touching somebody's crappy shopping cart or currency, which is filthy? You know, it's a germy world. Yeah, but as far as stuff coming through my nose, I swear to you, it's an awful lot less. Related benefit number 2 is better tolerance of allergic symptoms, allergic reactions. When I was a kid, I was allergic to nothing. On a Boy Scout camping trip, I once even fell asleep or rolled out of my sleeping bag into a patch of poison ivy, and I was face down in it, essentially, for most of the night. Never a blister. As an older guy, a lot of things sort of give me an allergic reaction. My cat, Allergy, in some of Minnesota's beautiful 10,000 lakes. Certain kinds of shellfish. But as far as things that come through the nose and eyes, like the lake water and stuff like that, it really can be bothersome these days. And allergy to Rudy's cat dander. Well, snuff helps me cope with that a lot better. For one thing, I think that snuff causes extra mucus production, rinses stuff out of your nose, and I also think that perhaps the acidic nature of most nasal snuff is kind of an antibacterial and works with your antihistamine system to combat those, your histamine system, excuse me, to mental clarity, toy boat. Mrs. Budgie Pudgy had a square cut punt, not a punt cut square, but a square cut punt. All right. So that's it. You know, fewer nasal symptoms of any kind, whether from colds or allergies. Now, remember, I'm not a doctor, okay? And I can't make any claims. I'm not saying any of this stuff is curative or preventative of any illness or allergy or anything like that. These are just my experiences, right? We on the same page on that? Okay, I am not an expert. But this is important, and I've noticed this in myself. I mean, obviously, being a blind guy, I have to pay more attention in general to my other 4 senses. But for most of us, we kind of put our senses in a hierarchy of usefulness. Most of us start with our eyes, then our ears, then our sense of touch, and down the list somewhere you've got your sense of smell and your sense of taste. Well, as a blind guy, it just sort of maybe came naturally to me. I started smelling things as cues as to where I was when I was walking around in public. Oh, I'm smelling the bakery, or I'm smelling the Ethiopian restaurant, or I'm, smelling the neighbor's yard and the yard's full of dog shit, so I know where I am. This is things we all probably do, but don't really pay attention to. But with nasal snuff, you become, first of all, better able to identify scents, because you do it just as a matter of course of the hobby and the pleasure of taking snuff. It's not uncommon to hear someone say, I taste butter in this, or I taste cashews, or I am scenting a little tiny bit of geranium in addition to the rose. So you become much more olfactorily, how's that for a word? Olfactorily aware of your environment, to the point where your nose begins to compete for primacy in your experience of wherever you are. So that's the third thing. Just more awareness of your olfactory, your nasal environment. Snuff taking is less socially disruptive than other forms of tobacco use. Point number 4. Let's face it, you can't smoke anywhere anymore. And if you're outside of a business, either someone will complain you're too close to the door of the business, or they'll walk past you and give you the fake cough and say, yeah, hope you die, sucker, and all this other stuff, even though your cigarette taxes are paying for things like their kids' soccer programs. But, you know, they are going to react negatively. And sorry, folks in the southern United States particularly, dippers. A lot of negative reaction. People just don't want to see the brown stuff coming out of your face going into your mud jug. They think it's disgusting. They don't like what it does to the color of your teeth. It looks unhealthy to them. And so people are reacting even against dip now. Vaping is getting a lot of backlash now. A lot. So what's left? Snus and nasal snuff. It is to the point where on a recent Delta flight, a passenger made the tactical error of asking a flight attendant if he could use Swedish snus on the plane, and her reply was an automatic and emphatic, Delta does not permit use of tobacco products or vaporizing equipment on its flights. So where I was sitting over in my seat with my bullet going, yeah, that's a real tragedy. So it's much less socially disruptive. And if anything else, going to the next point, it can actually be a real conversation starter. What are you doing? And when you explain that no one has died of cancer from taking nasal snuff up their nose, ever, and that there are 170 different varieties of snuff, 177, I think, currently available on the market, varieties from different manufacturers of snuff, that there's a whole bouquet of aromas ranging from florals and spices and herbs and roots, all the way to candies and desserts, and that it's a constant treat for your face. And if they're smokers or use some other form of tobacco, even vaping, say, try this. You know, you might make a new friend. Snuff taking is inexpensive for a whole bunch of reasons. Now, I will say this. People who live in England, particularly in Germany, are very, very lucky because they can still just go down to a corner shop or a newsstand or a grocer or wherever and pick up nasal snuff, where we have a much harder time with it here in the United States. And because much of the snuff that we are using is coming through businesses such as Mr. Snuff's Snuff Store and snuff.me.uk and snuffstore.de from Germany, it adds an awful lot of cost because of the shipping. But even so, consider this. Cigarettes where I live right now are about $9 a pack, pretty much everywhere. A tin of nasal snuff, including the shipping, will cost you about $7. Yet, a 25-gram tin of snuff gives you 5 grams more on average than the average pack of cigarettes. You're getting 20% more tobacco for approximately 20% less money, even with the shipping with nasal snuff. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, snuff isn't taxed terribly heavily. I know some locales are taxing nasal snuff just like they tax cigarettes now. If I were to buy a 5-gram tin of silver dollar from Toke in my local tobacco store, they will charge me $9 because now it's the same taxes on a pack of cigarettes where I live. But in general, in England, for instance, the taxes on snuff are very low. Secondly, no way to break this nicely to you guys, but other than the really good artisan snuffs, the tobacco that you are sniffing in nasal snuff is waste product from the tobacco leaf. You're getting the veins, you're getting the little tiny leaf shards, the tips of the leaves, and the stems, mostly. So the tobacco, the base from which all snuff is made, is inexpensive. A lot of it is grown in countries that have very favorable trading agreements with Great Britain, including a bunch of African countries, and they get the tobacco stems and veins and stuff after they make their more elegant pipe tobaccos and other products. So we get the leftovers, but it is cheap. Now, there are 2 factors to point number 7 that snuff taking, both through its delivery of nicotine and stimulating aroma, seems to improve mental clarity. It is true. It is true both because nicotine has been shown to increase focus in most individuals in controlled laboratory experiments, but also because snuff has in many cases, aroma therapeutic properties. Now, again, I am not claiming to know anything about any form of therapy, prevention of illness, treatment of illness, or cure of illness. I am not a doctor. This is not FDA-approved advice were I to give advice. However, in aromatherapy, for instance, the bergamot and SP snuffs has been shown to actually improve mental clarity in a couple of different lab studies. And we all know about lavender. They're even giving lavender out in hospitals now to their patients to calm them and relax them before and after surgeries. So the lavender in a lavender snuff could very well help you chill out. In other words, more than cigarettes, pipes, cigars, or chew of any kind, maybe even including snuff. Nasal snuff has the advantages of both the nicotine and, in many cases, aromatherapeutic properties. And I'll sniff to that. Goworth, Hogarth, SP, how I love thee. Let me count the ways by going to point number 8. Snuff taking is pleasurable. It's fun. You have all these different aromas to try. You can try blending your own snuffs from dibs and dabs of snuffs you have left over. I once mixed honey lemon from Wilson's, all right, with a spearmint from Wilson's, with a pinch of a menthol snuff, with a pure honey snuff, and ended up with something that tasted like a honey lemon cough drop in my nose. So you have fun with it. And it is pleasurable to smell all the good smells. And it's currently not illegal because of a variety of complicated treaties enacted between the United Kingdom and the United States after the Second World War. It is still legal, as I understand it, to mail nasal snuff between the U.S. and the United Kingdom. As the United Kingdom also participates, for the moment, in European Union postal treaties, it is de facto legal for us to exchange tobacco with people in Europe. South America, it's getting harder. They're trying to charge duty on everything. If you farted in the envelope, they would probably charge you a gas tax. So it's a little tougher for South America, and I'm sad to say for Canada. But again, the same regulations apply. What does this mean? International friendships and all the good stuff that comes with it. I've had the great pleasure of exchanging Christmas gifts and Christmas carols with people in different languages. It doesn't matter if it's Sri Lanka or Spain, if it's Denmark or Deutschland, if it's the United States or the United Kingdom. I've got friends all over now because of nasal snuff. So there are the benefits, guys. It's probably good as far as taking care of your nasal health, although I wouldn't swear to it. Not expensive to take. It really does make you more aware of your entire sensory environment, not just your eyes and your ears. I promise you that. It really does that. Great way to make friendships, inexpensive, as I said, and so that's it. Please enjoy your snuff taking responsibly. Please tell your friends about this channel. Please subscribe. Please press that little bell icon so you get notified of my new videos. Please press the like button. It's good for my fragile ego. If nothing else, we will see you next Wednesday for another nasal snuff review. We're taking a look at the final member of the triumvirate of terror of Thai herbal snuffs, the purple. And that will be coming up this coming Wednesday on the Paul Schellbetter YouTube channel. God bless.